This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Sierra Madre Playhouse for their presentation of Neil Simon's The Odd Couple.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And you're?
Alan Brooks. I directed the play, The Odd Couple, here at the Sierra Madre Playhouse.
Okay, and why did you choose to do The Odd Couple?
Well, actually, I didn't choose the play, but I talked to Christian Labano, the artistic director, and we talked about the project, and I had directed a production of Rumors by Neil Simon, and I talked to him about how that went and some of my past directing experience, and he finally agreed and said, I think you'd be a good choice for this play. So I signed on board, and here we are.
Well, yeah, but you could have said no, or you could have suggested another play and all that. I mean,
it was already, actually, he had already picked it for their season. So
yeah, I know, but no one. I mean, you're not doing this for the money. I mean,
no, that's true. That's true.
I mean, you're doing this for some other reason.
No, but I like Neil Simon, and I really enjoy comedy. I've directed a number of comedies, and as an actor, I've been in a lot of comedies. I was in a comedy in New York City for a year, actually, a play called The Foreigner by Larry Shue, and I had actually known Larry as when I worked at Milwaukee Rep. I was in the world premiere of that play. So I've known a number of comedies, and I like comedy, and I thought I knew how this play should go. So I thought it would be a good choice for this. So I talked Christian into it.
Okay, so basically, what's your take on The Odd Couple? Do you want to see something different, something more modern, more edgy, or do you want something traditional?
No, I wanted to take it back to what I feel is the original appeal of the play, which is that it's really about these two guys who knew each other very well. They were friends in the Army and who had these really tough situations. Oscar truly is depressed, and that's the reason his house has turned into such a pigsty, and that he isn't happy with his situation. And Felix has a desperate plight, and he decides, well, maybe we should get together. I'm not happy with the way I am, and you're obviously in a desperate situation, so let's try it out. And what they don't realize is that they're going to clash terribly, because Felix is diametrically opposed to him as a lifestyle. And that's where the comedy comes from. And that's what's funny about it. But we have to totally buy the fact that these two have a genuine affection for each other, and they want desperately to make it work. And it's never going to work because they're so diametrically opposed. And that's where the comedy comes from. And I thought that's what you have to get back to. The play is only bone deep funny when you totally accept the fact that they really want it to work, and that it's never going to work because they're so opposed. And that's what I wanted to get back to, because a lot of people think of this play as a joke machine, and it's not. It's really based on two very fully rounded characters and the clash of those two characters.
Okay, what do you look for in your casting?
Well, we looked for some people who could be believable as New Yorkers, and we found a bunch, actually. Some who had been New Yorkers, some who had been from Boston and that part of the East Coast, and also just actors who had a sense of being able to play comedy, which is a whole different style. There's a comic edge. Some people can be very real, and some people can be slapstick funny, but there's a difference between this sort of realistic funny that makes it, as I say, deeper comedy. So that's what we were looking for in the auditions, and we found a great group. I'm very pleased with this cast.
Yeah, well, I like the play. I mean, I've seen it before, but it's very traditional. But no, I like it.
Good, glad to hear it.
A lot of people listen to my show are community theater actors. What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, actually, probably they don't need any advice from me, because they're doing it out of the love of doing theater, which means they probably have other jobs, and they come and do it out of the pure love of it. A friend of mine runs a theater in Macon, Georgia, and it is a community theater, but the level of workmanship that goes on there is quite astonishing. I went down as a guest artist once because he was able to hire one equity contract, and the level of talent and the commitment was equal to that of any professional production I've been involved in. And the people all had other jobs. They were insurance salesmen. They were all these different other things. But they were so dedicated to making the production the best it could be. They were constantly asking me that too. They said, is this as good as some of the things you've done in New York or Los Angeles? And I said, it is, actually, because you guys work so hard. Yes, you're pulling some of this stuff out of your garages and bringing it in, and you don't have a crew who can do all that stuff for you, but you're making it the best it can be, and you work so darn hard. And it's some really talented people. It's not that you couldn't make it somewhere else if you had gone that route. It's just that you're doing two different things, not just one. So I would say just keep doing what you're doing as long as it's enjoyable to you, and you can then pay the bills in another way.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And you are?
Brad Reed. I started doing theater in Boston, where I grew up years ago. Did a little bit there and some on-camera work, and then I moved to Chicago. I was an actor in Chicago for about 8 years, and then eventually I moved on out here, and I've been doing it for, I think about 12 years now out here, both stage and also on camera. And I've done, kind of a little of everything. I realized pretty early on that even on-camera actors who do a lot of work, who are very successful, still actually spend an incredibly large amount of time not acting. They sit around in trailers, they wait for the phone to ring, they wait for shots to get set up on set. They're not acting. So I think that, even if you're an on-camera actor who has a certain amount of success, you probably should be doing theater if you just want to be able to keep your craft well-oiled, if you will, to just keep your muscles working, And also, it's a whole different thing. I mean, the rewards from it are different from the kind of rewards that you get from on camera. So,
yeah. Actually, I worked at a motion picture studio before, and they actually took over my office. It was actually for Entourage. And I actually saw them film. It was the most boring thing I've ever seen.
It is. It can, a set day for on camera is incredibly tedious. It's the same scene is shot over and over and over, and there's no audience, there's no feedback, there's no immediate feedback at all, and there's no thread, there's no interlocking thread to go from the beginning to the end. Sometimes they'll start with a scene that's 3/4 of the way through the movie and shoot that, and then they'll shoot the first scene from the movie right after that, and then and so it's very hard to have that feeling of constance that goes through, and to have that story in the back of your mind clear. It's just, but it has its own rewards, but it is a very, very different thing from doing the theater.
And which character did you play?
I played Felix. Felix is a self-described neurotic nut. He is someone who can't stop playing with, fidgeting with himself, with everything in the house, with other people. He's never satisfied. He is nothing is ever right, and he comes in the beginning of the play, and he's just had his wife leave him after 12 years of marriage, and he's absolutely despondent, and he has to try to pick up the pieces. He shows up at his friend Oscar's house, and he's just looking for a way to deal with what's just happened that he thought would never happen and that he has no control over, which he has a very hard time with anything that he doesn't have control over.
What is your take on The Odd Couple?
My take? I think it's really interesting that it's a show that premiered 50 years ago and that it's still being done so much. And I think the reason for that is that there is a lot of universal themes in it. I think that there's enough of a backbone of it that despite the fact that it's clearly set in 1965, there's enough in it that really could have been set in any time period when it pertains to the relationships, which is really what it's about. It's not necessarily about the clothes, the wigs, the fashion. Those things are all nice, and they set it in a place and it make it fun. But what makes people want to continue to see it is that they empathize with the characters' situations and their relationships, which are the same really now as they were in 1965.
Let me tell you a bit about my show. I have a lot of community theaters, people who actually see my show. I mean, they've been working for like 15 years. They get paid nothing. They're struggling. They're just trying to find some kind of break. What kind of advice can you give them?
Let's see. I thought I heard a famous actress once say, take Fountain. Yeah, if you're ever in Hollywood, take Fountain. It's the easiest way to get anywhere. You don't want to go on Sunset.
Okay, take Fountain. Okay, get your Thomas guide if you still have those. Otherwise, a nice GPS device. Right. Thank you very much for being on the show.
No problem, thanks.
I'm Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI, 88.9 FM in Irvine. And you're?
Jack Sunmacher. I've done a lot of theater, I did theater in New York, and then I came out here and I did some stuff at a theater company called Circus Theatricals, which is now New American Theater. And, so I've just done a lot of theater.
Okay, and which character did you play?
Oscar. He's a slob. He's a slob. He's the leader of the pack. He's kind of he's the guy people refer to. He's a sports writer. He's just a guy's guy. He's a guy that everybody loves, and he's a fun guy, but but mostly he's a slob. He's just he doesn't care. He doesn't care what people think about him.
This was written like in 1962 or something like that, back in the 1960s. Right. Did you try to change the character to make it more modern, or did you try to keep it in the image of the writer? Writer.
There's been so many great Oscars over the years. It's been done so much, but luckily for me, I'm not an actor who could imitate. So, I think at one rehearsal I tried to do a Walter Matthau because I had gone on YouTube and I saw how he did the sandwich bit. And then I realized that's not going to work for me. So just try to, live up to the text and try to, be as truthful as possible.
What kind of arc did you think your character went through?
Well, Oscar starts, with his wife, that he's on the outs with his wife. And then I think he learns through Felix and living together, and he starts to get some responsibility. He sends all his alimony checks to Blanche. So at the very end, you're not sure if he's going to get back with Blanche. It's kind of like, she's asking him, when can we see each other? When can we talk again? So I think he's kind of grown up. He's I think somewhere with Felix he learned something, and I'm not quite sure what it was, but he definitely he hates living alone, but he also doesn't want to go back into a relationship that's unhappy. So I think he grows, though, in the sense that everybody wants love, so he wants to try to make it work, I think, with Blanche, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think this is my opinion, I think he accepted the fact that he was divorced. It was like before he was trying to avoid all the problems about it, but right. He is, and that's what he is. He has embraced himself and all that, right. And he actually worked into it. Right,
and that's just one... who knows what's going to happen the next day. He might not accept it, though. So there's a lot, it could be anything. But yes, I agree. It's a slow process, and that's where they bond. It's about, a lot of this play is about two guys who are just lonely and just want to connect at some level, and who have broken marriages, and it hurts, and it's painful.
For my show, I have a lot of community theater actors who listen to my show. Is there any kind of advice you can give them?
Just keep working. I'd say keep working. Just keep working on your craft. If you become, you just want to become as good as you could possibly be. And then if you get to a certain point where it's not about making it so much. It's about trying to break through. It's trying to break through psychological things or whatever. Because I used to have an acting teacher that used to say your acting problems are your life problems, and vice versa. So if you want to continue, then you want to keep growing as a person, and acting's great. I wouldn't. The outside stuff, is so out of your control in a lot of ways.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and you're?
I'm Jane Louie. I am a musician first. Just turned actress a few years ago, and currently in the show Odd Couple, and it's my first time trying out my British accent. It's cool. I was Cecily Pigeon. Yeah, younger sister. The two sisters are very much in tune with each other, and they're here in New York from England, and they love having fun, and they love boys, and they just get in for a laugh, and tonight they met these two boys and just wanted to have some fun, but then kind of fell in love with Felix together. So yeah, they're just having a riot with him.
Yeah. Okay. I just did a news program at UCI.
Okay.
About Asian women in film, and I just realized something. I've done 52 plays this year. I've covered 52 plays this year. You are the first Asian woman I've interviewed.
Oh wow! You know what? That's so unfortunate in its own way, but that's why we've. Both of us have been very appreciative of this production team, because they casted us as just ladies. They weren't aiming to I don't know how do you say it. They weren't aiming for like Asian women, and so it was just really nice to play a normal female without having any Asianness tinged into it. But I mean, that's incredibly rare to have Asian females Asians at all in theater, and we're very fortunate that this production team decided to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Also, a little question about your background. Yeah. You're a musician, transition in acting. How did that happen? Why are you doing something like that?
You know, so a friend of mine who now works at East West Players hired me to do a show a few years ago because it was a musical, and he knew that I sang. He wasn't sure if I could act, and to tell you the truth, I couldn't at that time. But he said, "I think you're quirky. You just have to be yourself in this." And he is very much he wanted to kind of Asian empowerment and just getting them into the arts. And so he got me into this, and I just haven't stopped acting ever since because I love it so much. Meeting wonderful people and just clicking with like Carrie here, who we just have the same type of humor, and we laugh, and I'm learning so much from her because she's such a more seasoned actress, and etc. Yeah, it's so much fun.
Why do you think you didn't do this earlier when you were younger?
Oh, I mean, I didn't even do music when I was younger. In terms of like pursuing it as a life choice, a career choice, you grow up. I'm a very typical Asian girl growing up with piano lessons, classical on the side. They wanted you to be my parents wanted you to be well-rounded, but you're not supposed to do it as a career, So I actually had a big falling out with my family when I decided I want to do music. So I really dove into doing music like in college, and then but never thought about acting. That felt really far-fetched for me. Music, having one thing that I can call my own without my parents controlling me was already a huge deal for me. And so having the music world kind of being the empire that I build on my own has been very important. And then when my friend introduced it to me, it's just, my world just exploded. Like, yeah. I feel like I'm a more well-rounded person now that I'm acting than just doing music.
What did your parents want you to become?
Oh, I don't think they really knew.
A pharmacist?
Just not a musician, like not in music or not in an artist. Something with a steady income. And because that's just the way that they grow up, they don't indulge in, the art form or their own creativity. My parents didn't. My mom does. She's a beautiful painter, but she rolls it up and puts it in her drawer. So, anyway.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. You are?
My name is Carrie Lee. I live here in Los Angeles, and I'm an actor here. My background is in dance and musical theater, where I used to be based out of Seattle and traveled around the world doing that. And I moved to LA to pursue acting solely about 8 years ago. So here I am. I took a hiatus away from theater, and I'm glad to be in this show right now in particular. I play Gwendolyn Pigeon. She's Gwendolyn and Cecily, they're sisters, and they live in the same building as Felix and Oscar. And I think that they are, my character in particular is a widow, and we've both been married. And I think we're women looking for a good time, and this could be just the most conveniently wonderful thing because they live in the same building. And we're just looking to have a good time, and we're from London, and we're just girls about town.
Did you try to differentiate your character from your sister's character, or did you purposely try to keep them similar?
That actually came pretty naturally because Jane and I have a very similar humor, as she mentioned before, but we're both very, we're pretty dissimilar in our interpretation of things. But I actually was wondering if we should be more similar, but it's actually pretty fun that we're pretty unique. So no, I didn't try to be less similar, I guess. Less like her, yeah.
Right, I think I saw the movie, and they were actually very similar characters. I mean, there was just, I think that's just the way it was written.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Alan Brooks, our director, he didn't necessarily try to impose that task on us, which I kind of appreciated, actually, because we just got to bring our own point of view to those characters. So you can play sisters and be different.
So what do you think about the role of Asian women in film or theater?
In film or in theater?
Either. I think.
Okay.
I think the statistics are just about the same.
Yes, I would like to see more of it. I would like to see more opportunities pop up, and I think it's happening slowly, but it's certainly way behind schedule, I think. I had a friend post on Facebook just the other day, somebody's doing The King and the King is cast Caucasian, and it's really not necessary nowadays. There really are so many wonderful Asian American actors that can portray these characters that are, meant to be Asian. So I would like to see more of it. I don't think that we're there yet, but we're slowly on our way. And this is a role in The Odd Couple that I don't know that I necessarily would ever have the chance to audition for a regular old production of it, because the Pigeon Sisters are traditionally cast Caucasian. So I'm super thrilled to get to be in this classic play with a little spin on it. And we just happen to be Asian. That's it. Yeah.
Did your parents discourage you from entering into the arts?
I would not say they discouraged me. My father has passed away, but my mom, I don't think they really knew what I was doing. They would come to see me in plays, but they just, I don't know. My dad was a farmer and an electrician, and my mom was a meat wrapper and kind of did office work and stuff. So they're very small. They were a very small town, and I don't know that they discouraged it, but they didn't encourage it either. I still don't think that my mom knows what I'm doing here. She keeps telling me I can move back home to teach dance. But, here I am.
Okay, and again, I have a lot of community theater actors who actually listen to my show.
Okay.
So is there any kind of advice you can give them?
Community theater, as far as
you're not getting paid, as in
you're not talking just non-union. You're speaking actually
amateur.
Community. Oh, okay. I cut your teeth there. It's like it's a great place to kind of. Okay, what I love about community theater actually is like there's a real attitude in the community theater world where it's like everybody pitches in and people are bringing costume pieces in and they're building sets together and they're doing all this stuff, and it's like this very family-oriented community feel, hence community theater. And I think that some of that gets lost in some of the bigger productions as you get your union card and you're performing for 3,000 seat houses or whatever. But I think it's really great. If you love theater, keep doing it. If it's not for you, don't do it. Because, other people would love to be in that place. So there you go.
Okay. All right, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ashley Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And you are?
Hi, Vince Don Vito. I'm a New York actor. I've been working on the stage since 1986. I moved out to Los Angeles in 1991, and I've been out here plying my trade for quite some time, and this is my first show with the Sierra Madre Playhouse. I play Speed in The Odd Couple. Speed is one of the more raucous poker players. He's very interested in playing. He's very competitive. He's very loud. He's very outspoken. Chomps on a cigar all night and is really not afraid to ruffle any feathers.
What are your thoughts on The Odd Couple?
I love The Odd Couple. I grew up in New York City, so it's obviously where The Odd Couple took place. And as a kid, most of my friends and I would watch The Odd Couple on television, so we know all of the lines. But I wasn't as familiar with the play, and I'm thrilled that I actually got a chance to do it.
Yes, the play, I basically feel it's kind of a little about divorce and also about male bonding a little bit. What do you think about that?
Divorce, relationships. I mean, it's really a relationship between Oscar and, a male relationship and how they get through, events in their lives that are very difficult, and they can't, and it ultimately comes out that they can't get through it without each other, even with all of their foibles.
So what kind of change did you see? Because I actually saw some change going on, not from your character, but from their...
I think the change really takes place in Oscar's character. He's the one that really makes the biggest change. He learns to be more accepting, and ultimately, this is a relationship that flourishes, as dysfunctional as it is.
I have a lot of listeners who are community theater actors. Seeing as you have so much experience acting, is there any kind of advice you can give them?
I would just say to try your hardest, continue to kind of peck away as best you can. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just do what you feel is right, and hopefully you'll get to be able to work with wonderful people like we have on stage here.
All right, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Neil Simon's The Odd Couple will be playing at the Sierra Madre Playhouse from May 8th to June 27th. For more information, go to sierramadreplayhouse.org or search for AMB Theatre, that's all one word, AMB Theatre on Facebook.